Calling all dancing unicorns. It's Wednesday, or whatever day you are joining me. It's the perfect day because I am about to rock your world with this episode. Actually, Kristen, my guest that I brought on today, Kristen Such, she is a spiritual business mentor. She's a confidence and mindset coach. She's an angelic channel. She is a woman of many talents, and she is so well spoken when it comes to money. I was smacked in the face with this episode in the best way. Like, I love when someone just sits down and is like, I'm going to F you up really quick. And I'm like, F me up, because I need my perspective, checked as much as anyone else. So this episode is so good. But before we get into it, welcome to AG University Podcast. It is I, your professor at Anna Grace Newell on all platforms, and also now at AG University Podcast on Instagram. If you want to go a little deeper, learn more about spirituality, health, wellness, the Akashic Records, check us out there. If you ever are interested in booking a one-on-one reading with me, or just going a little bit deeper with the Akashic Records, join my newsletter. It's linked in the show note. My booking link will only ever go out in the newsletter. There are tons of weirdos out there impersonating me. I will never DM you or ask you to book a reading or ask you for money. Check the username. It's usually off by a letter or two. I will only connect with you in my personal newsletter. There will be a sign up to book with me. So newsletters go out only 1 to 2 times a month. Promise I won't spam you. They're super intentional. They're super love-filled. I love to tell stories. I love to channel little poems and messages from the Akashic Records. I love to give monthly updates. So it's really juicy, intentional, just yummy information that's happening over there. If you're new here and you're like, how did she get into this work? I would love to know more. Please start on episode number 1, for there is some chronological information that is helpful in understanding more of who I am and what I'm here to do. So that is all of the things. Also, my How to Read the Akashic Records course is here. My baby, she is live. If you want to learn to tap into your Akashic Records, you can do it. The goal is always for you to become your own guide, right? So I have lots of things coming out. I want you guys to be the most tuned in, tapped in, turned on version of yourself. And I believe a big piece of that is coming in here and learning to step into your authentic role is also equivalent to being rich as fuck. Okay. So if you want to be rich, and we're allowed to say that, okay, I think there's so much programming that goes around all of us and having, shame around wanting money and saying that out loud, but you are here to be an abundant creator. You are here to make money. You are inherently worthy of money. And so if you want to stomp around and say, I want to be rich, I am a rich person, yes, say it loud and proud. And today we are going to give you the energetic formula, the equation, the breakdown to call in more money effective immediately. You can tap into the field of abundance right now in this episode. And I love there's so many tangible tips and takeaways from Kristen Such. She is our girl. She really, you guys, she is just so amazing. She shares also her journey. It's really how we got connected with meditating every day and how it's transformed her life. And she'll really go in and do a breakdown. So keep listening, but listen to this whole episode. Kristen is so impressive, so well-spoken, so knowledgeable. I told you she's a business mentor, coach, intuitive guide, angelic channel, you name it. She does a little bit of everything. She's kind of a master dabbler, and she's just a really impressive, also very grounded, embodied human. We sat together after this episode and talked for 3 hours straight. And we were like, we were just in a portal of just like energy, just talking to each other and connecting. And it just really was such an expansive experience being in her presence and in her light. And I'm so happy that this conversation is available to you guys. And this is free information. So if you have someone in your life who is struggling with how to make more money, they do not understand why they're stuck in these cycles of making money, losing money, not having enough, scarcity, lack, send this to a friend. There is someone in your life, maybe it's you, but someone needs to hear this. And I'm just so happy that Kristen and I were able to bring this magic to your ear holes today. So Kristen Such, you guys, what an absolute gem of a human. Welcome her to the show. Welcome to AG University, Kristen. We're so happy you're here. Mwah. Welcome, 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 you guys, back to AG University. Today, I have, first of all, a girly pop that I found somehow on social media, and you're from Ponte Vedra, and we're connecting now in LA. So it's just like a very divine gathering. Kristen, welcome to the show.
Thank you, AG. It's been such a funny journey for me to like find you online and then realize that your new fiance like went to school with my sisters. It's just been the craziest journey.
Such a small world, but I love that because I'm so happy that we got connected, and now I'm so happy to know somebody back home too.
Heck yeah.
Holiday times, we're just gonna play.
We're gonna vibe.
The vibes are high. Okay, so tell everybody, give us exactly in your words what it is that you do. Give us a little background on you, and then we're gonna go in. Take it away.
Awesome. So I'm Kristen. I'm a spiritual mentor, angelic channel. I'm a mindset and confidence coach. I have a lot of titles because it's really hard to put myself in a box, but really the root of my work is helping people step back into their purpose and share their gifts with the world. Because honestly, when I had my spiritual awakening really early at 17, so it was kind of painful to go through, I don't know, just high school and even college, just having all this knowledge that I did. And one of my biggest struggles was like stepping into this purpose, leaving behind the identity that I thought I needed to be. And then from there, I had to kind of do a lot of inner work and outer work to show up in the way that I desired and my soul desired in this life. So now I'm really passionate about helping people do the same thing because it can be really scary putting yourself out there in a new way. And, you know, all these coaches and new healers, like they just have a lot of fear of being seen like I had. So that was really long, but that's what I do.
No, that's a beautiful explanation. And that's not too long. I am very long-winded. Everyone listening is like, we know. But it's interesting that you say that because I always tell people I'm a dabbler. Like I dabble in so many things. Yeah. It's actually been difficult because I'm sort of jealous of you, but I guess, you know, my path is my path and it is what it is that you had this awareness at 17 because I did not have, you know, I was zero awareness. Like I was an atheist up until I was 24.
Wow.
And then I had like it was a spiritual awakening, but it was really more of a near-death experience. So it was very forced upon me. I was like exited. And then all of a sudden I came back and I was like, what the fuck? There was so much.
Awake in the matrix.
Yeah, you're awake. So that would be really crazy to have all the information that you have at 17. But all that being said, I think that every year things change and evolve that I don't even know how to label myself anymore because I'm like, well, I like fashion and I like to dance and I like to do these things. And I also love to podcast, but I also, like you said, angelic channeling. That's the same to me as Akashic Records. Yeah. For those of you guys listening, it's in the same family. Realm. Yeah. So there's so much there that it's sometimes difficult to label, but all I know is that you're just an angel. You're an earth angel. So that's what I'm like. That's the vibe that I get from you.
Thank you. And it's interesting. My angelic channeling and my connection, like really claircognizance and even clairvoyance only came on like less than a year ago now. Wow. So even though I had always been like super intuitive in tune, it's like you think you're awake and then another layer awakens in you. Yes. And then you're like, okay, well, who I thought I was the second time isn't who I am either.
Right. I'm someone else.
So I think it's really good for me to give permission to people to just evolve, even in their new identity. Like you're going to evolve out of that. So for me, it's like all about that death and rebirth, baby. You just got to get used to shedding the old layers of you.
Yes. And just like letting it go and letting it be. I did a class yesterday in Santa Monica. Have you heard of The Class?
Yes.
Have you done one?
No, I haven't done one, but I've heard it's amazing.
Oh my gosh, everyone listening, if you're near Santa Monica, they also have one in New York City. My girlfriend, Allie, she's the most in the know person. She's always like, this is the hip, new, cool place. I'm the least in the know person. I could not be less in the know. And she was like, we got to go to the class. It's incredible. I was like, slay, let's go. I didn't even look it up. And I'm kind of glad because I went in with zero expectations. I was thinking it was like a Pilates breathwork flow. I don't know, the same type of thing that everyone's doing, which I love. Oh no, it was like, we got weird with it. I teased it a little on my story, but we were like doing some like crazy breathwork, stomping, like channeling emotion, wild.
I've seen videos.
It was awesome. I mean, but the reason I'm telling you this is one, you've got to go if you can. Because you live in California. You're closer than me being in Florida. I'm like, I might as well be in Europe. Like, it's so far away.
It honestly is so far.
It's so far. I'm like, I might as well just be in London. But I had such a breakthrough yesterday. I text Austin and I'm like, I had a vision in the class. And he's like, he's just at this point, he's just along for the ride. He's like, what? He calls me. He's like, tell me the vision. I told him, I'm like, I'm restructuring 4 wings of my business where I'm going to now offer this in my readings. You guys, there's new energy work offerings coming in my readings. But I had so many breakthroughs. And I'm like, well, everybody buckle up. I'm now doing like lives with movement. Like I'm in this like hyperfixation on movement. Never in my life have I had anything to do with that. But now now here we are. So that's just the latest of pivoting and shifting. But pivoting and shifting, I do have 2 things. I have a couple of reasons that I brought you here. You've been summoned here for a lot of reasons. But one, you have really been inspiring me lately because your Dr. Daddy Joe Dispenza series. And you guys, I love that she calls him Daddy because I call like everybody Daddy. Austin is Daddy. Everyone's Daddy. Daddy Joe Dispenza. Tell us about your journey. She's been doing a meditation every day for the last 65 days?
65. I stopped counting.
Yeah.
Because I was like, honestly, at this point, like we're just doing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, about 2 months ago now, I stumbled upon a YouTube video, and I've done Dr. Joe meditations before. I've dabbled in his work, but I've never really gone all in. But when I find something that I like and I need at the time, I explain it like my soul goes to school. It's just like, I know that I'm there to learn something and master something, and this skill is going to basically bleed into the rest of my life. It's 100%. how it's always been. So 2 months ago, my audience knows this year has been a huge rock bottom for me. I went through a massive breakup. I moved 3 times. I was just I lost a friend group. I shed so much this year, and I was essentially just still in the grief of my old life. And I stumble upon this YouTube video, and Dr. Joe basically just activates me. And I think that that's what happens with spiritual teachers. Something just activates in you, and you're like, I need to learn from this person. This is the medicine and my soul needs right now. So I get activated by Dr. Joe, and I've just been, at this point, I'd been in a 2-month stint of just in a lot of pain, and I couldn't get out of the pain. I would wake up in a state and I couldn't shake it all day. And his whole thing is changing your state. Right. It's really letting go of the past and reattaching to the new future, and really kind of having the body stop being addicted to those past emotions, because at that point, when you've been feeling something for so long, your body's just addicted to it. So long story short, I'm going to try one of the meditations. His meditations are pretty long. They're 25 minutes at the least to an hour and 10 minutes at the most. And so I do this 35-minute meditation. And by the end of this meditation, I'm, visualizing this new life I'm creating, and I have tears of gratitude running down my face. I feel joy for the first time that I did in months. And I had a full body moment, and was I'm going to get through this. I'm going to do everything that I can to alchemize this and turn this pain into power. So I start just going down the rabbit hole. Dr. Joe has a lot of interviews. He has a lot of podcasts. He has a lot of lectures online. And I swear to you, I've listened to every single one. So I just start consuming everything Dr. Joe. I start meditating every day, and it starts to really help. And then I ask my friends, I'm like, do you guys want to do 30 days together? This stuff works if you're consistent. And so they were on board. We all decided to do 30 days together. And I would say around the 3-week mark, things started shifting in my life. I started attracting all of these crazy synchronicities. I started attracting so much money. I had the highest month in my business last month because I'm on my 2nd month now. I would call in, I would be I want to sign 3 new clients. I signed 8 new clients. Wow. I would have these moments where I would meet somebody, and then we would be in another group together, and it was wait, are we in both of these things together? Is that so weird? And we'd become best friends after that. All of these little synchronicities, down to even today. Even today, I had a synchronicity of I'm driving up to LA. I stop at this coffee shop that I used to love going to when I lived in OC. And I have a few friends in OC, but I was I'm not going to text anyone. I'm only there for 10 minutes. I'm going to grab my favorite coffees, and I'm going to go, because I usually get 2 coffees. Yeah. And while I'm there, one of my friends that, lives there is there also. And she's I have no idea why I came here. Something just told me to come here. And it's just these crazy synchronicities. So on top of all the manifesting of money and material goods, it's just these crazy synchronicities of moments where you're just in awe of the universe and you're literally like, this is not an accident.
Yes.
I know that was really long.
No, don't. I want it to be long. I brought you here to tell us all about you because everybody listens to all about me all the time.
Yeah.
But it's really, the other day I posted a video how I was saying, I think it's so amazing and beautiful that we are out here manifesting abundance and relationship and all the things. But I truly collect so many magical moments. The other day I was walking to my interview with Shervine, which was like a very divine, like I had spoken that into existence, and then Symbiotica reaches out to me and they want to do this collab. Like it was a crazy situation how we got connected.
Wow.
On the way there, this nice French man, we are crossing the street, walks out and he's like, hey, what are you doing? Like we were just crossing at the same crosswalk, both had groceries in our hands. I'm like, oh, I'm going to a podcast. He's like, what kind of podcast? I was like, spirituality. He was like, no way, my daughter's into that stuff. She's a poet. We passed his Airbnb. He's like, I'm going to give you her poetry book. This French man read me poems on the way to my interview with Shervine, which I was quite nervous for because it was a big one for, and it really calmed me. And it was just such a sweet random encounter with a stranger.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like it just goes to show you can collect so many magical moments with people. And I do believe there are still good people in this world. I think that we've gotten conditioned to think like everything is bad and doomsday.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I have so many beautiful encounters. This beautiful, nice French Canadian man read me poems on the way to my interview. And I got there and I was like, wow, that was a really lovely walk, a 20-minute walk.
And the truth is, life happens in between the manifestations.
Absolutely.
It's mastering the in-between moments. It's like, can you be happy before the manifestation comes? Can you act as if before the manifestation comes? And really, that's why I love Daddy Joe, is because he teaches you how to live in the magic of the moment and how to really call your future to you as if it's already happened. And when you do that, you become the person that has all the things that you desire. And I think that would be one of the biggest takeaways from Dr. Joe is it becomes less about the manifestations after a while. Like, I don't even really care about what I manifest anymore. It becomes about the person I am becoming on the way to having all those things. And I've witnessed so many changes in myself. I think one of the biggest changes is he really helped me move from this deep-rooted lack mindset to an abundance mindset. And when I really dial it down to like what has changed in me, it's my identity. Literally who I identify with as a person has changed from going from somebody who identifies as just being in lack to someone who lives in so much magic and so much abundance and has more than enough all the time. And the truth is, I've always been this person. I just had a completely different set of glasses on.
Absolutely. Oh, it's a shift in the lens, right? That we're seeing ourselves through. And at the end of the day, the craziest part is our identity. We have written the script and we just loop it in our brain. We have made up that identity. So it comes down to like, oh, I don't like this part of myself. It's like, we can change it.
Anytime.
We can rewrite the script.
I had this moment the other day. It's so funny you're saying this. So I was waking up from a really deep sleep, and I'm actually a terrible sleeper. So when I wake up from a deep sleep, it's kind of just like jarring to me. I'm like, oh my God, I haven't, opened my eyes since the night before, which just doesn't happen to me often. And so I'm waking up from this really deep sleep, the kind where you almost don't remember who you are. You don't remember your life. You don't remember like anything about your reality. And I had this like psychedelic moment where I was like remembering my story. And I was saying to myself, oh my gosh, this is literally just a story.
Yes.
It's a story that we tell ourselves every single day, and the story remanifests more of the story. And at any moment in time, we can start telling ourselves a new story, and it completely shifts our entire reality, who we are as a person, the things that we attract, our vibrational plane that we're living on. It's crazy. It really is just a freaking story.
It's just a story. This is another example that's coming to my mind is wasn't Abraham Hicks, but someone in that genre. If I think of it later, I'll cite it in the show notes. But saying, when we come to Earth and we're living our life, and then when it ends, it's like all the actors and actors go backstage, and you all of a sudden are like, whoa, but it felt so real. It's like, no, you're just playing this part. But at any moment, we have free will to like rewrite the narrative. And it's really crazy because I used to be someone that lived in a victim mentality, thinking like, woe is me, like, I can't believe this, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, no, we don't have to stay in that. And I just wanted to tell everyone, when you're talking about sleep, I didn't even explain this to you fully. I sent Kristen a voice memo. We'd kind of just been connected. She reached out to me, was like, oh my gosh, I know Austin. Like, we all grew up together, small world, blah, blah, blah. Like, followed her, kept up with her on TikTok, was following her Joe Dispenza journey, was loving it. And I went to sleep, and my dreams are so informational. I don't know if a lot of people relate to that. Maybe they don't, but like, I just get messages. Like the other night, I woke up and I needed to open 12 reading spots because there's 12 people that needed to see me. Like, I get very, very specific directions when I go to sleep at night. And I've set up my containers to kind of like allow in what I need to know. I woke up and I literally heard Kristen Such in my head. And I was like so vividly like Kristen like 3 times. And like we had been connected, but not like, I don't know, we didn't have any plans of like meeting up. Like it was kind of random. And I just reached out to you and I was like, I don't know what it is, but you have to come on my podcast. I was hearing your name in my sleep last night. And that's like, you must be just so tapped into the quantum. We were just like, your name came to me and I was like, okay.
I kind of want to tell you my side of that story.
Tell us. Yeah.
Because it was just as synchronistic, and this is just the shit that happens to me when I'm doing this Joe. I mean, I don't know who else to, I know it's me, but like I'm like, Daddy Joe, thank you so much for making my life so magical. When I'm doing this, these crazy synchronicities happen. So my best friend Brie, who all my audience knows, me and Brie are just like, we're besties, and I think I sent her something of yours because you and her, you guys remind me of each other. Like your energy is very similar. And I just sent her something of yours and I said, I can't remember what I said, but I said something. And then the next day you reached out to me and I was like, Brie, guess what just happened? Like I was just talking to you about AG and now whatever. So that happened. And then the night before when I was meditating with Daddy Joe, one of the things that he always talks about is basically everything you want is in the form of opportunity. So you want to tune into the energy of opportunity because if you want money, it's actually freedom and an opportunity. That's the energetic formula of money. If you want a relationship, it's joy and an opportunity. It's always an opportunity. And so I was tuning into opportunity the night before that you reached out to me. And when I tune in, I basically imagine myself like in this black space and I connect my heart out to these basically white bulbs of light that I don't know, but they're opportunities. And I just imagine being like really excited to like open my email or open my Instagram or see somebody that I know. What I never know because in the quantum field, you don't know how it's going to play out.
Right.
But I tune into these opportunities and I don't do this meditation that I did that night a lot, but I was like, ooh, I just feel so magical, like angels, please, if, you know, I have a good opportunity, like let it come to me. I just need something to excite me right now.
Yeah.
And the next day you reached out to me. And so I think it's really cool to see both sides that like when you're on the same vibrational playing field, you're just tapped into that same grid.
Yes.
And it's like you're connected because you are.
Yes. Well, we are. I talk about it all the time. It's as if there was a tree and we were all leaves on this tree. Energetically, we're all so intertwined. That's why manifestation is so fun and so cool because you never know what leaf you're going to light up on that tree and it's all connected. So bringing in those opportunities. Thank you for sharing that story. I love that. I'm obsessed with that.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that I listened to my intuition and I could be a little ping for you because I was like, we got to get her on the show. Which leads us to the reason I wanted to bring you on the show is actually to talk about money. That was my Akashic Records ping. And I realized that I don't talk about money a lot. I love to talk about food and sex and all kinds of other things. But I think money is one of those other extensions that a lot of people don't realize, like, yo, what is my relationship with money? And a lot of people have a fucked up relationship with money and they might not even know it.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. That was my ping. I'm curious if you can take us on a journey of what maybe the evolution of your relationship with money has looked like or where you're at right now with money.
Yeah. Oh, this is a good one. I've never really shared my money story, so thank you for asking. So I grew up with parents. They were both doctors and they're both immigrants. They kind of have this scarcity mindset and they also have a mindset of like, this is what you need to do to be successful. And I knew from a young age I wasn't going to be a doctor because I'm really queasy around blood. So they knew I wasn't going to be a doctor. And they were like, okay, well, lawyer, businesswoman, finance, figure something out in those fields. So I actually went to school at the University of South Carolina for supply chain and finance. And I was just following what my soul thought I needed to do. So I'll kind of skip forward. I get a corporate job and I am making like literally nothing. I'm making less than $40,000 and working my ass off and really just not in my purpose. And it was around this time that I had to reprogram a lot of limiting beliefs, not only about my purpose, but about money. So I was reprogramming a lot. I do a lot of inner child and shadow work with myself, but then now I do it with my clients around having my inner child feel worthy of having money for doing what she loved, and not only what was going to make her loved and valuable to her parents or what she thought they would want her to do. So from about 20, I think I was like 22 or 23 at that time at my first job, I was doing a lot of the deep-rooted reprogramming to get out of that corporate job and start my own entrepreneur venture, which I eventually quit my corporate job, taught yoga for a year while I figured out what I wanted to do with my life. And then COVID hit and I ended up starting my coaching business. And when you start a business, it's the biggest spiritual awakening ever because all your shit rises to the surface. And so even though I had gotten out of the mindset of like, this is the only way to make money, because there actually is so many infinite ways to make money. Now it's like everything is attached to you and your worth. And I had to do a lot of work around believing I'm worthy even with 0 clients than I am with 100 clients, like really detaching my worth from money. So I would say my money story started there, and I grew my business to 6 figures within around, it wasn't like super quick like most coaches. It was maybe 2.5 years I hit the 6-figure mark, and I was really happy with it. But then I felt like even when I was having more than enough money to live, I was really still living in lack. Like I never felt like I had enough. I was penny pinching. I was holding on to money. I felt like I could never spend things. You know, I had thousands of dollars sometimes in my bank account and I'd be like, I don't know if I can buy this $100 kimono. It was just like weird things where I was like, why is this so deep rooted? And I'm going to bring this back to Daddy Joe. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But I did start to shed a little bit over the years because you have to, you know, when you have a business, you have to learn that you are worthy, but still that scarcity is deep rooted. And I think we've all heard it, you know, there's millionaires that feel poor and there's people with only making, you know, a little bit of money that feel abundant. And it's so true because it really is about your mindset. And so long story short, this rock bottom really forced me to review my relationship with money because honestly, I was no longer part of a unit. I wasn't splitting things anymore. I live in California. It's really expensive. I wanted to live alone and I wanted to get a 1-bedroom. I wanted to get an updated, really nice 1-bedroom. And it was forcing me to really just start to look at the money story again. So when I started Daddy Joe, he has a lot of content around generating wealth, generating abundance. And I just, again, dove into it headfirst. And the biggest thing that shifted, again, is back to the identity. I realized that I was never going to be an abundant person if I was still identifying as someone in lack. And so the work that I did was really looking and studying the thoughts and the beliefs and the thoughts, the belief, and the relationship I had with money. And so I started doing things. This happened about like more 6 months ago, not just 2 months ago. I started writing a letter to money every single morning. And I would just write a letter and talk to it and say what was on my mind. And what I realized is money had always been there for me. I always had enough. I always had more than enough. But I was there thinking that this thing was never going to come and I never had enough of it and it doesn't love me and all these things. And the way I equate money now and how I teach it is think about it with a friend. If a friend is always there for you at your beck and call, always shows up for you, and you're just so unappreciative of the friend and you're just like, you're never there for me and you never, you know, show up. How do you think that friend's going to feel about you? Do you think that friend's going to want to be around you?
No.
Probably not. And so you have to work on that relationship and foster and have conversations with it. And so eventually I started channeling the consciousness of money. And money was telling me like, you know, you're treating me like I'm not there for you, but I'm always there for you. And I actually want you to spend me. I want you to have fun spending me. I want you to feel joy when you're spending me. But when you spend me, you're just having all these negative emotions and it blocks you off from having more. And so it was in that moment I started really fostering my relationship. I started writing letters every morning, getting things more in order, putting things in, you know, high yield savings accounts. And this was all just happening very naturally, honestly. I wasn't even taking any course or doing anything. It was just like I cared more about money and the relationship with it. And then with Dr. Joe, I had to start really studying the thoughts. So I realized that when I would buy a latte, which I love buying a latte every morning, it's one of those things that makes me feel like a queen. It makes me feel so abundant to be able to walk out of my house and have someone make my coffee for me every morning.
Slay.
I love it. And sometimes I get 2 coffees. Most of the mornings I get 2 coffees. So I'm like, I want a little, flat white and like a matcha,
Yeah,
So,
just a little sip of both.
yeah, exactly. You want the hot and the cold. So I would realize that whenever I bought those things, I was kind of like cringing, like $12. I could have spent that $12. And I really had to study this relationship because I was like, okay, if I really trusted that more money was always on the way, I wouldn't care about spending the $12 because I know more is on the way.
Right.
And I started studying wealthy people. I started just listening to wealthy people. I started kind of studying my wealthy friends. And that was the thing that was missing is I didn't trust in the flow of money. I was just trying to hold it as much as I could because I thought I need to take as much as I can. And I need to hold as much as I can because more is never going to come. But when you are an abundant person, your thoughts are not in the frequency of lack. You don't even have a thought when you spend the $9 on a latte. You don't. You have no thoughts because you're just like, I'm so excited to have this latte. And when you're spending that money, you're just like, I'm so happy and I know more is on the way. So I don't care. And in my meditations, I would start rehearsing this version of me that was so happy when I bought lattes or so happy when I saw something at the store that I liked and I wanted to buy it. And then slowly I would start to notice the thoughts in my life and switch them, and I would start to be this person. And I think it's literally no coincidence that the month that I really rooted into this new identity was my highest income month in my business.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Beautiful money story. Wow, I have so much I want to dissect. One, I'm obsessed with the personification of money. I love to personificate anything. Is that even a verb? I just made that up. I love to give anything a personal aspect or touch because I feel like it makes us really take a hard look in the mirror. And for me, this was one of my things that I realized that I was doing was I would get anxious. An old version of me would be anxious to open my bank account. Like, what's in there? How much did I spend? Like, what's shaking in there? And it's like, no, you don't look at yourself in the mirror or a friend and be like, oh shit, what's she doing today? Like no, you're like, oh my gosh, hi, hello, what's going on? What's shaking? Like really having a conversation with what's going on in my bank account. Because I think for a while I was so scared to check it because I'm like, is it going to be low? How much did I spend? I don't want to look. I think that's a very common thing for people is like, I don't want to look.
Avoidance.
And we don't avoid. We don't want to be in an avoidant relationship. We don't want to be in an avoidant partnership, friendship. No, we want to absolutely be in flow and we want to love that person and be grateful and all of these things that I guess is in our ideal relationship with other people. And like you said, you teach that to your clients. And I saw a clip of you talk about how you're like, now I get so excited to spend money and it's fun. And that's the energy that I'm playing in right now. I was telling everybody on the Age University podcast that this trip out here, I'm doing this massive activation. And so many people in my life are like, you're crazy for, like, when I say activation, it's like a physical, we're building an install, like everyone's coming in. I'm doing live readings for like over 150 people. Like it's huge, but it's going to be so fun. And everyone is like, you're insane. And I'm like, listen, I am not worried because I already saw that this is coming back to me 4 times it. Now, I don't know that. I have absolutely not a speck of proof. But my gut tells me, and I am going to trust it. And also, I'm going to have so much fun spending all this money investing in my business because I believe in me and I believe in my business.
And you trust it.
And I trust it. And I know that I wouldn't be given this opportunity if the universe wasn't going to back me. And I always tell people too, it's in those moments where you're like, I'm going to really bet on myself. I'm going to show up for myself because I believe in me. And that's when you fly,
Absolutely. And I have a very deep belief that when you are living in your soul's purpose, when you're doing your soul's mission, Source knows that your mission is so big that you can't be worried about paying your rent or how much food you have in your fridge or, what you're going to, like, not being able to buy new clothes. I believe that Source is like, you're in your purpose, you're in your mission. Here is more than enough to sustain you. And then it's your beliefs and everything else that gets you there. But I've just seen it so many times with my clients and when you truly are doing your soul's work, you just get rewarded.
You do.
Because that's what you're here to do. And that's essentially your highest timeline. And your highest timeline is always going to come with abundance because that's what it is.
Well, and also too, like the energetic of living in your soul's purpose. If we're all energetically intertwined, we're all here to support each other, help each other grow, learn, and evolve. There's something about that it's almost like this just very symbiotic flow that we're all experiencing. Even you going out and buying the lattes, you're supporting your local coffee shop. There's so much energetic of support and giving to people, but also fulfilling your own needs and fulfilling, like you said, like I feel like a queen when I buy lattes, but then you're also blessing all these other people, the baristas, the people that work there. Like there's such a beautiful flow and circulation of sending money all around. When we're all living in this state of fear, holding, that's when shit starts to crumble. It's like we're all here to support each other. I think that's such a beautiful way to realize, like, no, this makes me feel amazing. And also, I want to support this place. It's my favorite coffee shop. I want to see them thrive.
Exactly. And I think that when I see money coming in and out, especially like a lot in big chunks for me, and when I'm giving big chunks to other people, I say this thing to myself. I'm just like, okay, it's their turn to hold it. Okay, it's my turn to hold it. It's just like none of it is actually ours. It's always in flow and circulation. And if you look at the cycles of nature, if you look at the ocean, if you look at, the moon and the sun, day and night, the clock, everything is supposed to be in constant motion. Nothing is supposed to be stagnant. And money is the same. It's supposed to be going back and forth between people, supporting different people. And just you're supposed to have more of a neutral relationship with the in and out. And I think that is one of the really big things that people can start to practice is how can you be more neutral around money? Like money actually is neutral, but if you're finding that you have negative emotions when you get a parking ticket or you're spending too much on a shirt, it's like, how can you bring that back into neutrality? Because it really is neutral.
It is. And I feel oftentimes those things like a parking ticket or some sneaky unexpected payment, that's coming to you as a lesson because maybe you didn't prepare for it, and the universe is like, has she up-leveled her relationship with money? Is she going to look at this? Because there's no sense of being triggered or rattled by it because it's just an opportunity for you to learn something or explore. You're being mirrored this, like, what is her relationship with money? How does she react to this? How does she respond? And it's like, okay, no, it's not a big deal. More is on the way. More is coming. And I did have one other thing I wanted to add because I feel this is a controversial statement that I'm going to make, and I would love to hear your 2 cents. But I don't believe in budgeting. I've always been like repulsed by like a strict budget, like tracking every cent.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like tracking every calorie. Like it's such
not supposed to happen.
No, it's such a, because also like, who am I to quantify energy like that? Who am I to quantify what my body needs every single day to the calorie? Who am I to quantify what my business needs? If I was on a budget right now, my budget person would be like, you're fucking crazy. This is not in the budget. But I'm like, you don't get it. It's my intuition. You got to leave room for
magic.
So I don't believe in a budget, and I will stand by that because I feel like it keeps us in this lack and scarcity mindset. Just as being on some crazy strict 1,200 calorie plan, we're obsessing and we're not really allowing our body to allow energy to flow properly. Sometimes we need more. Sometimes we need less. Sometimes we need to spend more. Sometimes we need to invest in ourselves. We need a coach, a program, a this, or that for us to then X times our money, but if we just stay in our little budget, humdrum, there's never going to be, I feel, the intuitive pings or room for the expansion that's waiting for you because you're just so locked into those, like you said, penny pinching. So that could be a there's probably some financial people on here that are quivering, that are like, not the budget.
Yeah, they're like, their eyes twitching.
Yeah, they're like, oh. But I hate a budget.
Yeah, no, I do agree with that.
I think you could have like a loose one, but leave a little room. How about that?
So my Virgo moon is like, well, you need some structure. So the structure that I think is, I have an auto transfer set up to my high yield savings account. So it's like, I know I'm going to have money in there. And then I always, put the max amount in my Roth IRA, which is, essentially the 401k for entrepreneurs. And so because I already have like all my investments already set up in those ways where things auto transfer, I do play with the rest of my money. And I really, really believe in exactly what you said. Like, you shouldn't be counting every cent that you paid, because then every time you spend money on something, you're going to be like, is that in the budget? And that gets obsessive, just like counting calories.
Right.
Because I think I've been there.
Yes, we've all been there.
Yeah, I think we've all been there.
We're all like children of the freaking 90s diet culture.
Exactly. Woof is right. And so I do believe that. And I'm going to say that when I was quitting my corporate job, the thing that allowed me to do it, I was like really cutting down all my expenses. I moved apartments. I sold my car at the time and bought a cheaper car. All of those things, I think that there's a time and a place where sometimes you might need a budget, right? Like, that's maybe not the time to be frivolously spending. I think there's a time and a place for everything. But I think that when you have to be really honest with yourself, do you have more than enough? And if everything else is in order on, the bottom line of you're putting all the money away that you need to put and you're good for, the future and your rent and your fixed needs, then at that point, have fun with your money.
Have fun.
Yes.
Allow yourself to have a little bit of fun.
Yes.
Yes. I think there are ways to implement a little bit of structure. Just as like I keep going back to the calorie metaphor because it's easy for me, but we have say we know we're going to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Mm-hmm. But we're going to allow ourselves to let our intuition guide a little bit on our snacks,
Exactly.
Exactly. There can be a little gentle structure because discipline is ultimately a form of self-love. If you're coming at it from that angle. But I think there's so much scarcity that runs so generationally through all of us. I mean, I'm the same way. My parents both were entrepreneurs, were very successful, but I will never forget when we were little kids, my sister thought we were poor. Dead ass thought we were poor. We were not. We went to nice private schools. I mean, my parents did well, but they were so, frugal and never wanted us to feel like. My dad was he was like, I want you guys to have a job. My sister really thought we were going to lose our house. And we're like, okay, so mom and dad, you took it a little too far because we thought that we were, going to go under. But I think that there is so many ways for us to revisit our money story. And I love the letter writing technique.
Yeah. And, I'm glad that you mentioned that because something that I forgot to say that's so vital to my money story is, so I said my parents are doctors, but we literally lived like we were poor.
Yeah.
We had a house at one point and there was no furniture in the house.
Oh.
And it was just because my dad was, he's just really in lack and he wanted to hold on to as much money as we needed. And we literally would just go eat at Applebee's. We did not live a rich life. We lived a very, very frugal, poor life. And, whatever, that's his story and his trauma. And I don't blame him at all. But that's why even when I had money, I was always just save, 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 save. I grew up thinking that every dollar you needed to save 30% of that dollar. And so we had this very just frugal lack mentality of just save as much as you can that I think just goes along. My dad's from the Philippines, my mom's from Israel. Both of those different types of people have kind of this deep lack mentality. And I think I just adopted it and it's no one's fault, but ultimately it's my job to write a new story for us.
Exactly. Yeah. You're the person. It's I'm here to switch up the cycle. I'm gonna do things differently. Mm-hmm. And everybody listening, and you and I both here, we all have the ability to review, check in with ourselves, constant be how does this feel? How did I feel spending this? It can be such a simple check-in.
Yeah.
Would you walk us through, because I love to give people super tangible on the writing a letter to money, because I'm totally going to do that. I've heard that. That's the second time I've heard this. I'm I need to start doing this just because even me, I mean, I have all of this awareness and this knowledge but there's still moments where I'm ooh, this is crazy. You going to do this, Hand of Grace? Okay. But I just got to trust it. So talk us through that process.
So I think where you should start is just by free writing a letter to money and see what comes out, because that's going to be really telling of where your relationship stands. And when I first did this, it was hi, money. I've never really talked to you like this before, but I'm noticing that I'm having a lot of overthinking and worrisome thoughts. And I just started channeling whatever I was feeling about money. So literally with zero judgment, just kind of vomit on the page and write whatever you're feeling about money. That's going to give you a good baseline of where you're at. And you're going to be able to see your relationship to money, because again, money is neutral. It loves you if you love it. It doesn't like you if you don't like it. So you're going to see where you're at with it. And then from there, I would start to take 2 minutes in the morning and write a letter to money every single day. So when I started reviewing my relationship, I would just be thank you so much for always being there for me. Thank you for the money that is on the way to my account right now and I don't even know it yet. Thank you for supporting me with my latte this morning. Thank you for allowing me to invest in my business. And I would just write anything. It's really channeled, truly. It's just whatever is coming to you. But you want to think of it as texting a friend. You have to cater to that relationship and put effort in for that relationship to flourish and foster. And it's the same with money. So think of it as your just little daily email or text message to money, where you're just saying, hey, I'm checking in. I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for all that's coming. And, I would like maybe more support in this area? Or can you help me find a few clients? I always talk to money and I'm like, money, can you help me figure out this new offering and the right pricing? I really just talk to it like a friend. And I think that people sometimes overthink how to create relationships, with money or intangible things, but everything has a consciousness. And the truth is money, think about how many lessons and things that money teaches humans. It's really just a tool and a consciousness here to teach us and learn. And if you want to master it, you just start learning about it, start studying people that have really abundant mindsets, start listening to podcasts about money, just start fostering your relationship. That's what you would do with a friend. If you really wanted to get to know your friend, you would ask about it and you would try to learn about that friend and you would try to just figure out what makes her tick and how to make her happy. And that's the same with money. It's just really act like you're in a relationship with it.
No, I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. I'm going to take money out on a date. I'm going to go somewhere. I'm going to get a coffee. I'm going to talk to it. I'm going to be like, what's going on? Because a practice I was teaching Austin recently, which is kind of like this, but I like this better. He's gonna do this when we get home. So because I've noticed he definitely comes from a scarcity mindset and he's just very logical when it comes to me. And he's like, well, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, get out of here with that stanky energy. Don't swing it my way because I am not worried about this.
Yeah.
He wants to be logical mansplaining things. And there are times where I appreciate, him helping me invest money. And I think there's a lot. I definitely have one of my old stories was like, I don't know what to do with money when I make it.
Right.
And I think that's a common one too, especially for females. It's like, I don't know what to do with it. Help me. What's the stock market? Or like, where do I invest? Or what do I do with it? So that was when the first thing I did was I stopped telling myself those stories.
Yeah.
I know what to do with money. I'm going to figure it out. Not like, that's another place, even before you write the letter, like, what do you say when someone asks you about your financial situation? Like, oh, well, I don't know, it comes and goes. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to make it. I don't know how to keep it. I don't know how to save it. Like, what are you saying? That was one thing that I've just like, I'll hear Austin sometimes. Sorry, Austin, I'm really calling you out right now. But I'll hear him say things and I'm like, no, let's break this down. So we have been doing a journaling exercise in bed every night together. And I gave us an assignment of picking one area of our life where we'll write, so like one of mine that I've been saying is I allow money to flow to me endlessly in vast amounts that exponentially increases every month.
I love that.
Right?
Magical.
So just like allowing it. And it's crazy because I have just had new streams of money open up, like just randomly here. A random commission check came in last week for like $7,000. And I had the bank called me and was like, hey, someone's trying to deposit money into your account. I swear. And I was like, I have no idea who that is. I literally was like, they must have put in the wrong account number. And I really was like, I don't know. And then they ended up calling me back. They're like, hey, this is the vendor. And I was like, holy shit. Like, I was so shocked. I didn't even know where the money was coming from. I really was. So that's a fun one that I say. So I was telling Austin, I was like, pick a couple of statements. One about like, we're manifesting something about our relationship together. We're manifesting, something about like our dream home and, also just how we want to feel. Like I always say, thank you for the love, joy, happiness that I feel every single day.
Yeah.
Just some simple ones. And then I love to say like, the more fun that I'm having, the more money I'm making. Like, thank you for allowing me to feel fun. Fun is a huge code for me. Like I'm really here to have fun.
I feel that for you.
Thank you. So it's really important, like for money, like I'm supposed to have a fun relationship with money. So I think that's another one. Like, what do people really like want with money? For me, it's fun and freedom. I've kind of narrowed it down. Like I know I want to have money to do fun things. I want to provide fun experiences for other people. I want everyone to have fun. And if I have money, I can do fun things with everybody.
And money really does just enhance who you are as a person. If you're a bad person, it's going to enhance that. If you're a good person, yes, it enhances that. And so I think that there's a lot of stories with money too of just, money makes people bad or greedy people aren't, whatever the story is with money. We all had those sayings that our parents said about money or we grew up hearing about money. And I think it's really important for you to look at those key statements. Money doesn't grow on trees. Everyone's heard that one, right? But like, do you believe that? Do you believe that making money is really hard? Because I actually think that making money is the easiest thing in the world. All I have to do is be myself. All I have to do is be in my purpose, and money is going to support me no matter what. And so really starting to work with these core beliefs with money and practicing who you want to be in relationship to money. Like literally before bed, imagine yourself going to Free People and buying $500 worth of clothing. And if you normally cringe, literally just imagine yourself in your head being like, I am so grateful that I have the money to buy this. And then imagine yourself going home, trying on all your new clothes, FaceTiming your best friend. Doesn't this look cute? Doesn't this look good? Like, I had to literally rewrite situations that I would have with money. I would go spend money and I'd be like, ooh, like I would cringe.
Yeah.
And I wanted to feel so good. And so you have to really look at those nitty-gritty details about your relationship and then start to say, what would be a more supportive relationship with this? What do I want to feel like? What do I want to do? How do I want to think and talk about money?
Yes. How do I want, and why do I want it? Ultimately, that's another one, like coming up with just a question to give everyone. And I would love to know your answer too, is like, what are my pillars? I always say like, what are my pillars? So for me, like I said, I want money to experience fun and freedom. I'm here to live a fun life. I'm here to live like just kind of a wild, free life. And freedom is my main calling with money. I want to do whatever I can. And then I also want to help people and support them and create fun experiences to bring people together. So those are like some of my big pillars. And also like luxury in the form of self-care,
right?
Massages. Like I like to shop, but now I don't shop as much because like I'll get things sent to me, or I don't know. I'm just not really in a phase of wanting stuff. But I love like acupuncture, Reiki. I want to spend all the money on taking care of my vessel, because then when I'm taken care of, I can take care of other people. So what are some of your pillars around money? Like what's your kind of calling or relationship now?
Yeah, definitely freedom. And to me, that means doing what I want, when I want, how much I want, how little I want, when I want to do that. So that's been a really big thing for me. And then similar to you, I just want to be able to bless myself and the people around me. And like, so one of the big things that, I'm doing, my mom's coming to visit me this week, and like I booked us a little getaway in Laguna. Aww. And it's honestly the first time I've been able to do something like this. She used to send me, $20, $100 here and there when I was starting my business. And it's like a moment where I can give back to her. And that's really important to me, to be able to feel like I can bless the people in my life, because they've been supporting me and now I want to support them. So being able to like bless people, and then like you having fun. I think that the point of life is literally to experience as much as we can. And money is the way that we do that. I mean, you can't really do a ton of things without money. Right. Truly, that sounds bad, but you can't do a lot of things. And so one of my, unpopular opinions is I think being rich as fuck is one of the most spiritual things that you can experience on this earth, because
Amen.
It gives you so much deep-rooted experience, fun, freedom to live out who you truly are and who you desire to be. Because if you're, locked down and you don't have freedom, you can't be your full expression. And so money is the vessel to be your fullest expression.
Yes. Oh, so well said. I keep wanting to clap. I want to just clap, but I don't want to clap into the microphone because it'll be loud in y'all's ears. But yes, and even when you said that, I was having this vision when I was a little girl, when I was 8. I'm pretty sure I've told this story on the podcast before, but I told my dad, I was like, Dad, I am here to be rich. My dad was
I love that.
My dad was
Your soul knew.
My soul knew. And my dad was like, okay, well, like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm going to be rich and I'm going to be famous. I'm going to be on a stage and I'm going to be helping people. And don't worry, Dad, I'm going to take care of you. So I told my dad that when I was like 8 years old. But here's the funny story. My dad would tell people that story like as I got older, and I would get embarrassed because I'm like, Dad, I can't believe I was just like saying like, I'm here to be rich. Like I would be like, no, don't tell people that. Like that's like, I had this shame and being like, I'm here to be rich. Like I felt like that sounded so, I don't know, like a douchebag. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to be rich. And that was never what I meant. And even, in relationship with Austin, he's always been like, you're the first person that really is. I always tell him, I'm like, listen, I don't know how, I don't know why, I don't know where the money's going to come from. But because right now he's been very like, we got to save for a house. We got to save for a house. And yes, absolutely. But I keep telling him, I'm like, listen,
I'm not worried.
I am not worried about it. Like right now, could I buy the house of our dreams that we want? No.
Mm-hmm.
Will I be able to when the time comes? Yes.
Yeah.
Don't know how.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen. Everybody listening, I'll let you guys know how it goes down.
And I truly believe it.
Thank you. But it's just so funny because as I got older, I was like so embarrassed as a little kid that I would say like, I'm here to be rich. I'm here to be famous. And I was like, oh my God, I sound like such a twerp. But it really, like you said, my soul knew. And
your soul always knows.
Everybody listening, you're allowed to say like, I want to be rich. You're allowed to say that. Mm-hmm. There's been so much shame in programming, especially, I feel like women, we've been like just kind of put into these small containers of like, we have to be a certain way or a mom or a this or a that. It's like, no, we can be all the things.
And if that makes you cringe, if you're listening to AG and you're like, oh, that makes me feel cringy. That is your exact work. Why does that make you cringy to own being rich? Because that's just shadow. What does being rich represent to you? Does it mean that you're greedy? Does it mean that you are not a nice person? Does it mean that you are mean? What did society or your parents or your upbringing make you believe about having a lot of money? Because my upbringing made me believe that if I have a lot of money, I'm really, really worthy. Like I remember situations where I'd be around family and they'd be like, look at these McDonald's workers. Like they're so, they're losers. And I mean, I'm not proud of that, but that was what I equated money to. Money makes you more worthy. Not having money makes you less worthy. And so I had to reprogram that so much with my inner child, telling her, you are worthy with or without money, and you're supposed to have a lot of money, and you're going to have a lot of money when you step into your purpose. I used to tell my inner child that every single night in a meditation, like, you are going to have so much freaking money when you step into your purpose. And now she just genuinely believes that. I believe, yep, if I'm in my purpose, I'm just always going to be abundant. And that's the story that I'm creating for myself, just full circle moment. That's the reality that I create for myself.
It's the story that you're looping.
And now it's like when you're living and you outside of the matrix, meaning you're not, living in the rules of the matrix, you realize you make your own rules. So make your own rule with money. What do you want to believe about money? That it's hard to make or it's easy to make? I want to believe that it's easy to make. And I want to believe that it's coming to me all the time and I don't even know where it's coming from. So that's my reality now.
Absolutely. I mean, my reality is, and everybody listening, is that whatever we believe becomes your reality.
Yes.
So you might as well. That's why I love the trend that's like Delulu is the Salulu, being delusional. I know when I post on TikTok, I get all kinds of things that people are like, you are living in another la la land, almost in like a negative way. They're shaming me. And I'm like, but it's mine. Like, this is my world and I get to make the rules in my world.
You can live in this land too.
I want to live in La La Land and
Same.
I like it here. So leave me alone, one. But two, it is so true. Like every time I channel on the Akashic Records, they say life is a game and you make the rules. Life is a game, you make the rules. And just as you said, like I grew up, my mom worked so hard. She was an artist though. She was like the creative version of me and an intuitive, but a lot of that was blocked for her because she ended up in corporate America. She had a really amazing career and she's a very inspiring person. But now that she's out of it, I think there's a lot of, she loved to paint. There was a lot of expression that was muted, that was blocked. And my mediumship like gifts and skills come from that side of the family too. And all of that has been turned off, and she was just in a very corporate role. And she always told me that I had to work so hard to make this money. She had money, but she worked so hard for it to the point where I am miserable. I will sacrifice my soul's purpose for this money, And so that was a huge one for me. It's like, no, the more fun I'm having, the more money I'm making. It's easy. And I believe that anyone listening wants to change your belief. That is your story and you get to write it.
Yeah.
But a lot of the story has just been put into our ears by other people around us. So that's such a good thing to notice is like, who did you know growing up that had money and what did your parents say about them?
Exactly. And one of the biggest things that shifted for me is I don't even remember who I was listening to, but they were like, if hard work equaled money, then all of, the blue collar workers would be the most abundant people. And the millionaires wouldn't be just golfing all day. But look, they're working less, making more, and the blue-collar workers sometimes have the least amount of money. So hard work does not equal money. Work does not equal money. It's really a game, it's an energy, and it's a frequency. And I never really got when people said that, like, it's a frequency. But now I really do get it. When you're in the frequency, it's just like you attract it. You're a magnet to it. And it really is like a state of being. And, I've had moments where I didn't have a lot of money, but I would be like, I'm grateful for all the jeans in my closet. I'm grateful for all the shirts I have. I'm grateful for all the air in my apartment. I'm grateful for, the amount of shoes I have. I'm grateful for my friends, just finding little ways to feel abundant. And that's the frequency that attracts more in.
Absolutely. We can all find things right now to be abundant for,
Literally.
no doubt. Like, I think that gratitude practice, people just think they're kind of just randomly doing it. But it's like, no, this really has such an immediate positive effect on even just changing your state. Being like, okay, I just had this conversation with a friend yesterday that I'm like, if I did not make another dollar right now in this exact moment, we were sitting on the beach in Malibu. I'm like, I am happy. I am so happy. If I made this exact amount of money for the rest of my life, I'm happy right now. And I think that you have to have those moments where you cannot get lost in this rat race of like, when I have X, I will be so happy. That's the trap.
Exactly.
That's the trap.
And bring it back to Daddy Joe, he's done a lot. He does scientific research on the energetic frequency of emotions. And the reason he always comes back to gratitude, it's because it's one of the highest vibrational emotions. Like, it is the emotion of I already have it. And he's measured it in the electromagnetic field of humans. It's real. Gratitude is not this woo-woo thing that we're trying to say, like, read Dr. Joe books. It's measured. It's a frequency, and it really does pull things to you if you practice a continual state of gratitude.
Absolutely. And they always say too that fear and anxiety can't exist when you're expressing gratitude.
No, it's not on the same frequency.
Right. You can't, you like physically can't. So if you catch yourself in these moments of fear, it's like switch.
Yep.
I am so grateful right now. I have air to breathe. Wow. What a gift.
Yeah.
We have water to drink. We have things that we need to stay alive. And that will like immediately take you out of that fear and anxiety frequency, because that can sometimes just be a spiral. And those two emotions can't exist at the same time. It's like my favorite thing to remember.
1,000,000%.
Wow. This was such a good conversation. I feel like we really gave so many tips and just tricks and takeaways. Is there anything else that you want to leave us with? Anything that we didn't cover that they need to know about money?
Honestly, yeah, just start to foster your relationship with it. Just remember that at any moment you can create a new story. There's so many free resources out there. There's so many books, podcasts. Just start to consume more, and you're going to see, like, you're going to feel better about it, and it's going to flow to you.
It is. It is. I know. And I meant to tell you, I think I started something. I always start like 10 tangents, and then I get so excited with everything that you're saying. I'm like, but I was saying how Austin and I will do the practice of writing out our affirmations of what we're manifesting. But the key is, anytime I tell him, if you have a moment where you write something, so say like, money is flowing to me endlessly, right? I write that out. And then I have this moment where I'm like, no, it's not. You have a thought in your head that's like, da-da-da. Immediately I will write out that thought and start to communicate with like what conversation is happening inside of my body, because that's like the fastest way for us to kind of clear out a limiting belief or an energy that we're carrying. So I just wanted to continue that thought. So anybody needing some practices,
I love that.
Write a letter to money. When you write your affirmations or your goals, if you're feeling a wince or a cringe or that'll never happen, go in and write and be like, okay, why did that thought come up? Where is that coming from? Whose voice is that? What is that? And that's how we can get to the root of some of these issues to resolve them, so we can live our freest, most fun life.
Yeah.
And now AG University is a finance podcast.
With a little bit of, spiritual twang.
Well, and one of my friends has a financial advisor who's also an energetic money coach. So those exist out there. Like, there are a lot of people.
Money is energy.
Money is energy. It's an energy.
I will say, I will say, so I was at this networking event the other day, and it was this billionaire who was the guest speaker, and he's just starting to talk. And as soon as he starts talking about the energy of money, I'm like, this guy listens to Joe and Abe, Joe Dispenza and Abraham Hicks. And I go up to him after, and I was like, asking him, his favorite thing, or I don't know, I asked him a question. He was like, oh yeah, I've studied Joe Dispenza. I've studied Abraham Hicks. Like, he's a billionaire and he's working with the energy of money. So I truly believe that like everyone at the top actually does know.
Oh, they do.
The energetics.
They do.
They just don't share it because that's not what people want to hear.
Oh no, I just said this on the last podcast. Any of my celebrity clients, everything is signed, and know that I will not disclose any of their information, because they don't really want people to know. And that's fine, because they're like, I got a good thing going for me. I don't have to share my stuff.
Yep.
But we're here to share the stuff, okay? You guys, listen up. Take notes.
We're here to share the stuff.
Share this episode for anyone who is struggling with their relationship with money. Kristen, tell them where they can find you.
Yay. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube at Kristen.Such. And then I also have a podcast called Alignment Academy, which is basically a school to get you back into alignment, your soul back into alignment. And just, I talk about all things spirituality, mindset, business, life, all the things.
I love that we both have schools. Also, Such is S-U-C-H.
Yes.
Just, sometimes I love a spelling on a podcast. I like to write it down. Thank you so much. This was incredible. I'm going to listen back and take notes myself. I can't wait. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, AG.
Yay. As always, I just wanted to say thank you so much for tuning in. If you feel so called, or if it feels aligned, I would love for you to leave me a review here. I always love reading your beautiful thoughts and messages. And also you can find me at Anna Grace Newell on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And I will link all of my courses, AG University course curriculum in the show notes, along with if you're interested in booking an Akashic Records reading with me. My scheduling link goes out in my newsletter. It goes out once a month and it's completely free. I would love to have you there. As always, I'm a proud professor and you get an A+ for making it all the way through the end. Love you.